Today is July 28th, and on this day in jazz, in 1956, Jutta Hipp enters Rudy Van Gelder's living room studio and records a relatively unknown gem in Blue Note's catalog with tenor saxophonist Zoot Sims, becoming Blue Note's first white female and European instrumentalist. This was also to be her last recording. A couple years after this, she will disappear from the music scene entirely. Who is Jutta Hipp? Born in Leipzig, Germany in 1925, she studies some classical piano as a child, a teenager in Nazi Germany, and it's then where she encounters jazz on forbidden radio stations. Why forbidden? Because jazz music was forbidden. And it was here that she encountered Count Basie, Fats Waller. She starts writing down some of these tunes. She also had some friends. One in particular had a ton of jazz records where she was introduced to more of the wonderful jazz coming from the States. She starts jamming with other German jazz musicians before and during the war, and escapes into West Germany during the Soviet occupation, with only a few records, a few books, and the clothes she had on. Here she endured long hours of playing with very little pay, often playing 7 days a week in nightclubs, military clubs. In 1953, she even toured Germany with Dizzy Gillespie. She also formed her own quintet. She was known in Germany as Europe's First Lady of Jazz. And around this time also, influential jazz writer and critic Leonard Feather heard her, and he arranged for her visa, got her a job at the Hickory House Club in New York, where she held a gig for about 6 months there, recording 2 albums for Blue Note in 1956, some wonderful trio dates. She also performed at the Newport Jazz Festival in 1956, and for our regular watchers, you may have seen our video on Miles Davis at Newport in 1956. And then on July 28th of that year, she records this album with Zoot Sims. Who is Zoot Sims? He's a wonderful tenor saxophonist. He was playing a lot with Jerry Mulligan and Al Cohn at the time. You also may know that name Zoot. That's the name of the saxophonist in the Muppet movie who was named after Zoot Sims. Now this recording swings from the very first bars. It's not trying to blaze any new ground. It's just a wonderful, listenable jazz recording. Straight ahead music. You could almost call this a Zoot Sims recording. He dominates the sound. Even her piano playing is a little back in the mix, although she does contribute some wonderful solos. And then she disappears from the jazz scene, works in a clothing factory, and by 1960 stops playing piano altogether. Why? Well, we have no definitive answer, but we have some good guesses. Some say she was always shy, suffered from extreme stage fright, preferred playing in small clubs for fun, not really enjoying trying to make it in the music business on the New York jazz scene. Remember, she was considered the first lady of jazz in Germany, where jazz clubs are many miles apart, as opposed to New York City on 52nd Street, where the whole street was lined with jazz clubs. Duke Ellington or Monk might drop in for a set, which might be a little bit of pressure, I would say. She also may be part of a 1950s Me Too angle. There's also many stories you can find about her refusing advances from Leonard Feather. And you see in his writing, after praising her, he begins writing a little more critically about her, talking about her self-confidence, lack of self-confidence, and also losing her individuality after coming under the influence of Horace Silver. For whatever the reason, she disappears so completely that even Blue Note has trouble finding her to get royalty payments delivered to her. And they finally found her with the help of saxophonist Lee Konitz, one of the only musicians that she did stay in contact with. And when they found her in 2001, she told them, when asked, "Oh, I don't play piano anymore." She even said, "I wasn't very good." Well, many disagree, and you should check out Jutta Hipp with Zoot Sims. Like us and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on This Day in Jazz.